Hello everyone, welcome back to this HTML tutorial series. In the previous video, we talked about the HTML and then we tried to explain what HTML is. And we went over a brief history about the HTML and then we explained what the hypertext markup language that name refers to. I believe you got some information from that video. Now in today's video, we are going to talk about how the web works before we start opening our editor and then writing some code. So talking about how the web works, the first thing we are going to mention is the client-server model. Now the web is built on communication between two main parts. We have a client and a server. Client in this context is actually your device, your laptop, your phone, or your browser, or anything you are using to access the web. And then the server is the powerful computer or the computer that stores websites or web pages or web resources. The client requests information, then the server responds with it. So the client requests for something or some information, some web page or some resource, then the server that has that resource or that information responds with that particular information this client is requesting for. An example is you typing in www.something.com or anything, let's say google.com. Then your browser, acting as a client, sends a request to the website's server. So it sends a request to the particular server that has that resource the client or you are looking for. So your browser will send, let's say if it's a letter, I'm putting it in some analogy here. Let's say you have a letter, you write the letter, then you give it to your browser, then you say, hey, send it to the server that has this particular information so that I can get it, to use it or read it or get some information, grab some information from it, and then maybe you're studying for some exam or you want to learn something or you want to like view some information or you want to access some particular resource. So you send it, you give that letter to your web browser or your client, then that client or that web browser will send that letter you gave to this particular server holding or housing that resource you want. So that's a simple analogy and I hope you. So the server that has that particular information you want will reply with the file or the resource you requested for. In this case, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript or other web resources. Take the client as a customer, then the server is like a restaurant kitchen. The customer goes into the restaurant and requests for some dish, then the restaurant kitchen will provide that dish as the server, whilst the customer will be referred to as the client in this context. Now, how the browser interprets HTML. So hypertext markup language is the structure of a web page, as we said in the previous video. So when the server sends an HTML file, that's basically the file that the server will send in order for you to view a web page or a website. So when the server sends that file, the browser will read the tags in that HTML file and then it will render it pictorially or visually to your screen or on your screen. The browser doesn't just show raw HTML text. It turns it into headings, paragraphs, links, images, videos, audio, various sections, particular informations or images, anything that is supposed to be displayed, the particular information contained within that HTML file, the browser will render it. Now without HTML, the browser wouldn't know what to display. Think of HTML as the blueprint of a house and the browser as the builder who constructs it for you to see. Let's talk about the request and response cycle. The back and forth communication between the client, in this case your computer or your web browser, and the server. You open your web browser, you type in some URL, Uniform Resource Locator. Your browser will send that request to the server via HTTP or HTTPS protocol. Don't worry, we'll talk about those protocols later on. And your server or the server with that particular information will receive the request, process it, and send back a response in the form of those files or the resources that you requested for. Then the browser grabbing those files or receiving those files will interpret and display the content of those files pictorially or visually. This happens in milliseconds, so it's really fast that you don't even notice. especially when your internet connection is at the highest level or it's at the peak. So just like sending a letter to a shop and getting a package back, or going to a shop requesting for some item, you pay in the process. So requesting for some item, then the shopkeeper or they will grab those items and then serve you with them or bring them to you. So I hope that was clear. We understand now how the web works. When it comes to how the web works, the client is the web browser. We have another computer at the other end that is serving the resources. So it's the server, and then we have the HTML file, so the file that will be sent over from the other side by the server. So I hope you got that. And then in the next video, we are gonna open our code editor and then start typing some HTML code. I will explain along the way what each tag or what each process we go through in writing the code means or why we even do that. So I hope you got some information. Thanks for watching.